Good afternoon, Ed Pozzuoli, CEO of Tripp Scott, and with us today is Adam Brandon. Adam is the president, CEO of FreedomWorks, a grassroots organization. So talk a little bit about FreedomWorks. Adam, welcome, and give us a little overview about what FreedomWorks is.
Thank you. Well, FreedomWorks is a national grassroots organization, and we focus on fiscal conservative issues. And by grassroots, that means we actually are building an army of activists. I was in Wisconsin and Ohio for this weekend, where we actually had trainings. One was on policy issues, the other was on how you use your phones for political activism. And our idea is just to get as many people involved in the process. If you want to influence in America today, the best way to do it is through a peer-to-peer relationship, and that's what we're trying to build right now.
And what are some of the key policy pieces that you look at?
Well, we look at, in the long run, you look at some of the challenges we face with the debt, with deficit, with our demographic situation we face in this country. We need to have growth. You need to have growth, and then you need to hold the line on spending. So what we're trying to do is advocate for pro-growth economic policies, at the same time keeping the fight alive to try and make sure that we can at least start slowing down or chipping away at that spending.
All right, and what about some other policies?
Healthcare.
Education, healthcare.
Healthcare is a big one. Again, when I look at two issues, you mentioned education right there. There's two issues that Ronald Reagan was unable to beat with inflation. And that was healthcare, because there's just too much government involvement in setting the price in the markets, and education. Too much free government money floating around for a product that's you need some more market incentives in there. So I think when America's middle class, they're feeling the pressure from those two areas, healthcare and education. And so all the answers we're trying to advocate for: bring more choice to the individual in both of those markets, empower the individual, try and spur up some market competition for better results.
So what's the type of things that you would advocate for in, say, K-12 education?
Well, the basic thing is just school choice, making sure that, that it's just amazing to me that a parent gets stuck in, if they get by bad luck, they get stuck in a terrible school district. Can you imagine trying to be a parent to a child when you know you're sending them to a dangerous, to a failing school? How amazing would it be if you knew you had 1, 2, 3, 4 choices of where you could send your child? And I know over the long run that will end up increasing the quality of all the different school options in the area.
Well, you probably know in Florida we have a lot of educational choices, and in no small part to the leadership of Jeb Bush years ago. Mm-hmm. And we've now had 20 years worth of growth in that area.
When I was reading the polling data, the exit polling data from Ron DeSantis when he won, one thing that was fascinating to me is the number of single African-American women who voted for him. I mean, that was a large margin of it. And why? Because of the options that school choice has given their children. And for someone like me, that is an opportunity to get in front of new audiences with our message, showing the impact that it will make in their lives, how markets work.
I'll give you some context to that. The 19% of African-American women voted for Ron DeSantis, and it was obviously a close race, so we think it was the difference. But of the 350,000 charter school students, almost 2/3 of those students are black or brown.
Right.
And who's making those choices? It's the mom.
You know, I think I come from Ohio, and LeBron James, the basketball player, built a school in Akron, Ohio, and it's targeted at kids from very struggling backgrounds. And I think to myself, I wish every kid in Akron had a chance to go to this school. There's so few seats in this school. And really, it's just government policy. It's standing in the way of other creative, entrepreneurs getting involved in their communities with education.
Talk to me a little bit about the education pieces in higher ed. You talk about government involvement and kind of driving costs up.
We have 3.5% unemployment right now. You look at one of the things when I talk to people about what's slowing the economy down right now, they can't find skilled labor. They can't find talented folks because the market's almost completely dried up.
Right.
So, but then you look at, there's so many people in America today that if given some different skill sets, there's incredible opportunities for them. I think about people who are coming out of prison who have an opportunity for the first time ever to maybe get educated and develop a skilled trade. So when I look at education, we focus way too much on college. We should be developing and throwing. I mean, Germany does a fantastic job in their economy of training people to work in their industries.
You're talking about vocational and trades.
All of those, all of the above. Because when I think about college, I think we force too many people, encourage people to go to college unnecessarily, rack up debt. Look, there's careers you need to have a college degree. And for those degrees, I encourage people to go in and to university. But if someone goes to college to find themselves, that's a pretty expensive ego trip, and I would rather they go and spend some time, come out with a trade that they could go and actually earn some money,
right,
and take part in this economy.
And frankly, there's scarcity in some of those trades.
There's a tremendous amount of scarcity in these trades, and I just think that when I look at, I know some people are concerned about the advent of technology and how jobs are going to dry up. I look at technology as creating more jobs.
Right.
So our education system needs to come to terms with the new era and the new skills that people need to learn.
So let's switch over to healthcare.
Sure.
And we've seen some of the Democratic candidates running for president advocating for basically government-run healthcare, Medicaid for all and Medicare for all. And what is your group doing with that?
Well, we have to understand, we have to be very sober about when you're talking about Medicare for all, what that means. The cost to the taxpayer and then the end-use product. And I am not going to defend our current system as being a panacea. There is so much more improvement that needs to be made. I strive for a country where everyone who wants health care can afford it, and those who can't afford it, well, then I do want to help those folks out. But the policies of the different nationalization and socialization, I've learned yesterday that the average drug takes about $2.9 billion to go from the beginning to market on a drug. If you don't have the market incentive, who's going to be making our cutting edge drugs for the future? And you look at the changes with technology and how our phones are even going to be helping us stay healthier. I want to make sure that innovation is pushed to the front and not held back. And my fear with Medicare for all, it's going to be a get in line system that kind of freezes medical advances where we are today.
Yeah, no one seems to be talking about what the impact might be on the quality of our health care that we receive under that kind of system.
So I think costs are going to go way up, but I don't see quality going up. I see quality going down.
And for folks who, like, as an example, in my law firm and the employees here, we offer insurance, private insurance, health insurance, because that's what the market dictates.
I have to give very good benefits to
right.
my employees, otherwise I'm not going to be able to retain them.
But Medicaid for all would destroy that.
Right. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We have seen, because my business is under 50, we have to. We have about 40 employees, so we are on the Obamacare exchanges in D.C. And we really liked our health care we used to be able to buy, but we cannot buy it anymore. We do not have that option.
I thought you could keep it under Obamacare.
No, well, the problem is that when the market dries up, you got to go someplace else. So we still offer good health care. But the problem is our costs are, I was warned by my HR person that in a couple weeks when I sit down, I'm not going to like what I hear about the increase in costs.
Yeah. So Adam, if someone wanted to get involved in FreedomWorks, how would they get?
We absolutely need people to get involved. Because
so give us a little, how do we do that?
I would say go to freedomworks.org, freedomworks.org, and just sign up to get on our email list. But most of our action is taking place on social media. If you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, or you're on Facebook, just try and find FreedomWorks, one word, and those are our most active communities today.
Well, I appreciate the effort, and I appreciate the movement, making sure people are educated about these issues. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Adam, thanks for joining me.